Your soulmate cannot stop thinking about you lately. Here is why. I want you to take a deep, grounding breath and feel the heavy, electric stillness settling into the very marrow of your bones right now. Because we are stepping into the opening of this massive, high-intensity journey, where the mental fortress your soulmate spent months building has finally, completely, and spectacularly crumbled into dust. For a long time, they believed they were the masters of their own internal world, walking through their days with a curated sense of moving on, telling themselves the comfortable lie that your name was just a fading footnote in their life story. They invested an incredible amount of energy into distractions, burying themselves in their career, filling their calendar with hollow social engagements, surrounding themselves with people who did not know the true you, all in a desperate attempt to drown out the rhythmic, pulsing frequency of your soul. But today, they have hit a state of total intellectual defeat. Realize today that their brain has been officially hijacked by your chosen one energy, making it impossible for them to focus on a single task, a single conversation, or a single breath without your face flashing before their eyes like a high-definition lightning strike. They are experiencing the failure of the ego's gatekeeping. Realize today that you are currently occupying 90% of their mental bandwidth, leaving them with a mere 10% to function as a normal human being in a world that has suddenly turned into a blur of static. Imagine them in this exact moment, perhaps sitting in an important meeting or staring at a computer screen trying to focus on logic and reality, only to find that your voice is the subconscious soundtrack to every thought they possess. They are realizing today that they can no longer think their way out of this connection, because every logical reason they invented to stay away has been incinerated by the raw, visceral power of your vibrational signature. I want you to visualize them in this exact moment, feeling a wave of absolute spiritual nausea as they realize that the more they try not to think about you, the more solid and heavy your presence becomes in their mind, until it feels like you are sitting in the room with them, watching their every move. They are realizing today that the important something the universe has been whispering is that their mind is no longer their own. It has been reclaimed by the person they tried and failed to categorize as a memory. Every book they pick up to read, every movie they watch to escape, every project they start to keep their hands busy, somehow every single thing leads back to a memory of your laugh, the specific way you look at them, or the safe feeling they only felt when they were wrapped in your aura. They are realizing today that their safe life is actually a hollow shell, and the intellectual freedom they thought they gained by walking away was actually just a long, lonely walk into a mental prison where you are the only warden. I want you to feel the weight of their frustration as they realize that they are mental hostages to the love they tried to ignore, feeling a sudden, sharp pressure in their chest every time they see a car that looks like yours or hear a name that starts with the same letter as yours. They are realizing today that your chosen one frequency is a high-level admin access to their nervous system, and no matter how many firewalls they try to build, your energy simply bypasses them all to sit at the center of their consciousness. They are feeling a heavy, electric exhaustion in their spirit. Realize today that they are tired of fighting a ghost that is more real than the people standing right in front of them, and they are currently vibrating with a high-intensity resolve that says the thinking has become a form of self-torture. They are looking at their life and realizing that the logic they once used to justify their distance is now the very thing that is making them feel insane, because it does not match the absolute truth of their heart. They are standing in the wreckage of their composed mind, feeling a wave of absolute high-intensity mental surrender that says the obsession is no longer a choice. It is a biological and spiritual command. If you are sitting in your own power right now, feeling a sense of grounded, heavy detachment, it is because your refusal to chase them has created a massive magnetic vacuum in their head, making them chase you in a mental loop that never ends. They are realizing today that the important something is the terrifying truth that they are no longer whole in their own thoughts, and the only way to find peace is to find the road that leads back to the person who is currently living rent-free in their soul. Every phantom thought you pick up from them today is a literal cry for help from their ego as it realizes it has lost the war. Realize today that the silence on the outside is a total, high-frequency riot on the inside. And the only destination left for their mind is the one it never should have left: you. I want you to feel the heavy, bitter chill of the comparison crisis settling over your soulmate's entire reality right now. Because we are moving into the deep, high-intensity territory where every other person in their world has officially become a placeholder that fails to meet the standard of your soul. For months, they tried to convince themselves that people are just people, and that they could find the same comfort, the same spark, or the same intellectual depth in someone else. Someone easier. Someone less intense. Someone who did not require them to grow into the person they were meant to be. But today, they have hit a spiritual wall of absolute high-frequency disgust, because they have realized that your soul's signature is a one-of-a-kind fingerprint that cannot be forged, mirrored, or replaced by any amount of new energy. Imagine them in this exact moment, perhaps sitting across from someone else at a dinner table, watching that person's lips move and hearing their words, but feeling a wave of absolute, crushing spiritual boredom, because that person's light feels like a flickering candle compared to the high-definition supernova of your presence. They are experiencing the total failure of the Plan B reality. Realize today that they have been trying to satisfy a hunger for sacred wine with dirty water, and it has left an ash-like aftertaste in their spirit that no amount of distraction can wash away. I want you to visualize them in the middle of a social gathering, surrounded by laughter and noise, and feeling a sudden, sharp sense of isolation, because nobody in that room speaks the soul language that you two invented in the silence of your connection. They are looking at the safety they chose, the partner who does not challenge them, the friends who only talk about the surface, and realizing that safety is just another word for slow death when your heart is still locked in a room with the person you left behind. They are feeling a heavy, electric sense of comparison nausea. Realize today that every touch from anyone else feels like static on their skin, making them recoil internally because their body is still vibrating at the specific, high-level frequency of your touch. They are realizing today that there is no equivalent for a divine contract, and they are feeling a wave of absolute high-intensity regret as they realize they have been wasting their time trying to find home in people who were only meant to be passing shadows. I want you to feel the weight of their realization as they understand that you are the only one who holds the master key to their peace, and that every other door they have tried to open has led to a hollow, empty room. They are realizing today that the placeholder reality they created is a lie that is currently crumbling under the weight of your memory, making them gasp for air every time they have to pretend to be happy in a life that does not include your chosen one light. They are standing in the wreckage of their alternative options. Realize today that they have officially exhausted every plan B the world had to offer, only to find that you were the only plan that ever mattered. They are feeling a heavy, solid verdict in their spirit. Realize today that they are no longer comparing you to others. They are realizing that there are no others, because in their heart, everyone else has already been erased by the sheer magnitude of what you truly mean to them. Every conversation they have with someone else now feels like muffled noise, highlighting exactly how much your deep dive energy meant to their survival. They are realizing today that they do not just want you back. They are incomplete without you, and the comparison trap has finally snapped shut, leaving them with no choice but to face the fact that they have already lost the world, and the only thing left worth saving is the connection they tried to let go. They are feeling the final, heavy lock of the only one verdict. Realize today that they are coming back not because they have options, but because they have finally realized that without you, they are living in a world of ghosts, and they are finally ready to walk back into the light of the only living soul they have ever truly loved. I want you to feel the heavy, electric pull of the subconscious tether tightening around your soulmate right now. Because we are moving into the deep, high-intensity reality of the energy exchange that is currently making their life a restless storm. For months, They believed that if they could just put enough physical miles between your bodies, the invisible cord connecting your hearts would eventually lose its tension and snap, allowing them to drift into a life of quiet indifference. But today, they have realized that distance is an illusion in the realm of the soul. And because you have finally chosen to pull your energy back, to stop chasing, to stop pleading, and to stop feeding their ego with your attention, you have created a massive magnetic vacuum that is now dragging their thoughts toward you with the force of a black hole. They are realizing today that the more you focus on your own chosen one light and your own sacred growth, the more they feel like they are starving for the very frequency they once took for granted, making them experience a sudden, sharp sense of spiritual panic every time they realize you are not waiting by the phone. They are experiencing the 5:00 a.m. wake-up call. Realize today that their dreams have been officially repossessed by your higher self, making it impossible for them to find sanctuary even in their sleep. Imagine them snapping awake in the dead of night, their heart pounding, and your name sitting on their lips like a prayer they did not know they were saying. Feeling a wave of absolute, cold nervous system shock, because the presence of you in the room was so thick they could almost feel the weight of your hand on theirs. I want you to visualize them sitting on the edge of their bed in the dark, staring at the shadows, and feeling a sudden, intense gasp for air, because they have realized that the something they tried to walk away from is actually the only source of life force they have left. They are realizing today that the mirror effect is in full, violent operation. Because you have found peace within yourself, they are now forced to face the absolute chaos within them. Realize today that the silence you have given them is the loudest, most persistent scream their soul has ever heard. They are feeling a heavy, electric pressure in their solar plexus, a literal tug that happens every time you step deeper into your power, making them feel like they are being hunted by the very love they tried to ignore. I want you to feel the weight of their realization as they understand that they are energy-bound to you in a way that defies every law of the physical world, and that no matter how many distractions they try to throw in the way, the cord only gets shorter and the pull only gets stronger. They are realizing today that the important something is the terrifying truth that they are no longer the runner. They have become the chased, pursued by the ghost of a connection that refuses to stay in the past. They are standing in the wreckage of their independence, feeling a wave of absolute high-intensity vibrational hunger. Realize today that they are vibrating at a frequency of total deprivation, starving for the specific, high-vibration oxygen that only your aura provides. Every time they try to move on or move away, they are hit by a sudden, sharp sense of spiritual nausea. Realize today that the universe has revoked their permission to be happy in any direction that does not lead back to the chosen one. They are looking at the safety they fought for, and realizing it is a cold, dark, tasteless void that is currently collapsing under the weight of your self-love energy, making them gasp for air because they finally understand that the only way to breathe is to surrender to the pull. They are standing at the edge of a total, high-frequency energetic collapse. Realize today that you are the anchor, and they are the ship that has finally run out of fuel to fight the tide. And they are feeling the heavy, undeniable truth that the wait is over because the tether has finally reached its limit. Every ghost sensation they feel today is a literal check-in from their DNA, telling them that the only home that exists is the one they tried to leave. And they are finally, beautifully, and aggressively realizing that they are coming back because they simply have no other choice. I want you to feel the heavy, suffocating weight of the regret loop settling into your soulmate's mind right now. Because we are moving into the deep, high-intensity territory of the what-if cinema. For months, they tried to convince themselves that they made the logical choice, that they were protecting their peace by walking away, that the high-definition intensity of your love was simply too much for their three-dimensional reality to sustain. But today, the silence has turned into a high-frequency projection room where they are forced to watch the alternate timeline of their life on a continuous, agonizing loop. Imagine them in this exact moment, perhaps staring out a window or sitting in the quiet of their office, feeling a wave of absolute spiritual nausea as they replay your last conversation over and over again. But in this version, they are not the coward who stayed silent. In this mental replay, they are reaching out. They are telling you the truth. They are holding on to the chosen one with both hands instead of letting go to chase a shadow. They are experiencing the total collapse of the ego's narrative. Realize today that the safety they chose is actually a sterile, colorless prison, and every "what if" is a jagged shard of glass cutting through their denial. I want you to visualize them in this exact moment, feeling a sudden, sharp ache in their chest as they mentally build a future with you. Seeing the trips you did not take, the mornings you did not share, and the magic they traded for mediocrity. They are realizing today that the important something they threw away was not just a relationship. It was their only access point to a high-vibration existence. And as they look at the life they have now, they feel a literal, physical locking of their heart that says, "This is not it." They are feeling a heavy, electric exhaustion in their spirit. Realize today that they are tired of being the director of their own regret, and they are looking at the freedom they once valued and seeing it as a cold, dark, tasteless void that they can no longer inhabit without your light. If you are sitting in your own high-vibration sanctuary right now, feeling a sense of grounded, heavy power, and I am no longer mourning, it is because your self-sovereignty has turned the what if into a how do I get back. In their mind, they are realizing today that the regret loop is a divine correction, a high-intensity frequency designed to burn away the last of their pride until the only thing left is the raw, pulsing need to fix what they broke. They are standing in the wreckage of their alternative future. Realize today that they let a once-in-a-lifetime soul signature slip through their fingers, and the realization is making them gasp for air every time they try to justify their distance. They are looking at the bridge they tried to burn and realizing that the smoke has finally cleared, revealing that they are the ones standing on the wrong side of the fire. Realize today that the waiting was a self-inflicted wound that is finally, beautifully, and terrifyingly demanding a cure. They are feeling a heavy, prophetic certainty that the cinema will never stop playing until they make the realization a reality. And as they prepare to break the loop, they are feeling a wave of absolute, high-intensity resolve. Every phantom memory they have of you today is a literal pulse from their nervous system telling them that the something that is forcing the return is the realization that they cannot live another 40 years as a spectator to their own regret. They are standing at the edge of the return, feeling the air in the room turn thick with the inevitability of their surrender. Realize today that the what if has become a must-have, and they are finally, beautifully realizing that the only way to stop the movie is to come back to the person who holds the only script that matters. Every ghost sight of you in their mind is a signal that the waiting is over, and the impact is the only thing left to save them from the weight of their own silence. I want you to feel the heavy, primordial pulse of a DNA memory awakening in your soulmate's physical body right now, because we are moving into the high-intensity territory of the biological pull. For months, they tried to convince their mind that you were just a thought they could outthink or a feeling they could outlogic. But today, they have realized that their very cells have a sacred signature of your frequency written into them. They are experiencing a sensory haunting that they cannot escape. Imagine them walking through a store or sitting in their office, and suddenly, they are hit by the specific phantom scent of your skin or the ghost echo of your laugh in an empty corridor. It is not just a memory. It is their nervous system literally demanding the chosen one oxygen it was designed to breathe. They are realizing today that their body is no longer taking orders from their ego. And as they try to settle into their safe life, they feel a literal, physical heart rate spike every time your name crosses their mind, proving that their pulse is still synchronized with yours across the distance. They are experiencing the soul addiction withdrawal. Realize today that they have been trying to survive on low-vibration connections that leave them feeling physically depleted and spiritually hollow. I want you to visualize them in this exact moment, looking at their own hands and feeling a strange, electric tingle in their fingertips, as if their body is reaching out into the ether to touch the aura it remembers so vividly. They are realizing today that the important something is the terrifying truth that their DNA recognizes you as home. And every day they spend away from you, their physical vitality is leaking away into the gray static of their own denial. They are feeling a heavy, electric exhaustion in their very marrow. Realize today that they are tired of being a biological stranger to their own happiness, and they are looking at the independence they once prized and seeing it as a state of slow-motion starvation. They are realizing today that you are the only cure for the restless, vibrating ache that has settled into their bones. And as they try to take a deep breath, they feel a locking in their chest that says they will never truly breathe deeply again until they are back in your light. If you are sitting in your own high-vibration sanctuary right now, feeling a sense of grounded, heavy solidity in your own skin, it is because your self-sovereignty has become a biological magnet that is currently dragging their runner energy out of the cold and back into the heat of your truth. They are realizing today that the pull is coming from their very bloodline, an ancestral mandate that says you are the missing piece of their genetic and spiritual puzzle, making them gasp for air every time they try to imagine a future where your frequency is not their primary source of power. They are standing in the wreckage of their physical comfort. Realize today that no amount of sleep, no amount of luxury, and no amount of new arms can soothe the specific, high-intensity hunger they have for the chosen one. They are looking at the road, looking at the distance, and feeling a heavy, prophetic certainty that their body will simply not allow them to stay away any longer. Realize today that the waiting has become a physical impossibility. They are feeling the final, heavy lock of the biological verdict. Realize today that they are coming back not because they have convinced themselves, but because their heart, their blood, and their breath have already made the decision for them. I want you to feel the weight of their total, high-frequency physical surrender as they realize that you are the only environment where they can actually thrive. They are standing at the edge of the return, feeling the air turn thick with the inevitability of their collision with you. Realize today that the something that is forcing the return is the realization that they are soul addicted to your light, and they are finally, beautifully, and aggressively ready to come home to the only body that has ever truly matched their own. Every phantom sensation you feel in your own body today is a literal check-in from their nervous system, telling you that the collision is no longer a spiritual concept. It is a millimeters-away physical reality that is about to rewrite your entire existence in a single heartbeat. I want you to feel the final, absolute locking of the mental grid vibrating through the very air of your room right now, because we are moving into the concluding high-intensity peak of this journey. The mental surrender. This is the moment where the thinking stops being a choice and starts being a total high-frequency takeover of their entire reality. For months, they tried to keep you in a compartment of their brain, a small locked room labeled past or lesson. But today, that door has been blown off its hinges by the sheer pressure of your chosen one frequency. They are realizing today that you are no longer a thought they are having. You have become the very filter through which they see the entire world. Every decision they make, every person they talk to, and every road they drive down is now colored by the high-definition haunting of your essence. They are experiencing the final cognitive collapse. Realize today that the important something they tried to ignore has officially become their only internal reality. I want you to visualize them in this exact moment, sitting in a state of absolute quiet awe, feeling a wave of spiritual electricity surging through their mind as they realize that the mental war is over and you have won. They have tried to find a logic that keeps them away, but they have found that every logical path they take leads them directly back to your doorstep. They are realizing today that the waiting was not a distance of miles, but a distance of denial, and that distance has officially vanished. They are looking at the phone or the empty space in their life and feeling a heavy, solid certainty that the time for analyzing has ended and the time for reclaiming has officially begun. If you are sitting in your own high-vibration sanctuary right now, feeling a sense of grounded, heavy power. And I am the prize. It is because your self-sovereignty has become the mental anchor that is currently dragging their drifting thoughts back to the only shore that matters. They are realizing today that they are mind-bound to you in a way that defies every psychological boundary they ever tried to set. And they are feeling a wave of absolute, high-intensity surrender that says the obsession is finally, beautifully their only truth. They are standing in the wreckage of their composed ego, realize that their independence was just a sophisticated form of self-delusion. And they are finally, beautifully realizing that you are the only thought that makes their life worth living. This is our final massive activation, the moment where we lock in the mental return and tell the universe that the obsession has reached its divine limit. To seal this breakthrough and to signal to your soulmate's higher self that you are the only destination their mind is allowed to seek, take a moment now. Breathe. Feel the calm, heavy authority of someone who knows they are the main character in a story that is finally coming home. Not a side character, not a memory. The main character, the one the story has been about all along, even when they tried to write you out. In your heart, with the quiet certainty of a soul that has done its work and can now rest in the outcome, declare this. I am the obsession that brings them home, not as a wish, as a fact, as the truth that has been written before either of you were born. The mental loop is complete, not broken, complete. The truth is absolute, not conditional, not temporary, absolute. And finally, after all this time, the realization has made their return inevitable, not hopeful, not possible, inevitable. Feel the thick weight of this declaration. Feel the heat of their mental surrender hitting your field. You are the obsession. You are the home. You are the one who changed everything, not because you tried, because you were, because you showed up, because you stayed in your light, because you refused to shrink, because you trusted the process even when the process made no sense. And now the process has produced its fruit. The mental loop is complete. The truth is absolute. The return is inevitable. The love that was always meant to be is finally finding its way home. And so it is, not as a closing, as an opening, the beginning of the chapter you have been waiting for, the chapter where the thinking ends, the chapter where the silence breaks, the chapter where the distance collapses and the presence begins. You are ready. They are ready. The timing is right. The door is open. And what is coming is not just a message or a moment or a memory. What is coming is the life you were always meant to live, together. Go in peace. The mental loop is complete. The truth is absolute. The return is inevitable. And love has finally found its way home. Amen.